Well, good evening, and wait, I got to turn off some volume because of the feedback. Meanwhile, audio is off. Thank you to our technical support staff to my right. All right, good evening, and welcome to the Patterson Farm Master Plan Implementation Committee meeting for August. It's 7:30 on the 26th, and we have a full committee members are present. And so with that, I'd like to call the meeting to order. This Implementation Committee is charged with supporting the township and helping the township implement the master plan that was unanimously approved by the Board of Supervisors in December of 2023. And as you'll hear from some of the updates, we've made some progress, and there's been small steps made, but there's a long way to go. And I wouldn't be truthful if I didn't say I'm disappointed in the progress that we've made as we approach our 2-year anniversary. Let me bring up the agenda. And I'm not sure why that's, there we go. Let me increase that just a little. So we've called the meeting to order. And the first item is review and approval of our July 10th meeting minutes. Fred?
Thanks, Dennis. The July 10th meeting minutes were distributed to the committee, and comments were incorporated. Unless there's any other additions or corrections, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, minutes are approved. Thank you. Thank you, Fred. We're going to have, just running through our agenda, we have subcommittee brief updates and challenges, as they're called. We'll have a presentation following that from AOI, a tenant at the Patterson Farm. So we'll talk more about that, and we appreciate AOI being there. We'll ask for any other business, public comment. We'll review any next steps and assignments. Then we'll close the meeting, and we'll be holding a closed executive session to discuss a real estate issue. So that's our agenda this evening. So as a subcommittee update, the Building Protection and Enhancement Subcommittee, Fred, Peter, and Jenifer, what's your report?
I can do this ad hoc.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's been a few emails in the last week. So start with one right here regarding the corn crib. Since you're here, Jeff, we have an email from Dave Kratzer saying, as you noted, the structure is noted down and knocked down, and it's available for you to salvage materials now at this point. And then when you're done with that, Public Works will dispose of the remainder of it. And you're supposed to reach out to Derek to confirm schedule if you haven't done that already. Okay.
No, go ahead.
Next up is the asbestos abatement scope of work, which we provided to the township. I provided the township the scope to go out to generate documents for bidding back in May. It is before the Board of Supervisors for their meeting next week to take that package out to bid. The next item is we've circulated photos on this, and the equipment shed at the Satterthwaite side of the farm. The roof is torn off and they're showing some movement. The township noted that they're going to put a tarp on it. I don't know how much that really helps the situation, but that's where that's at right now. And maybe there could be a discussion at the next meeting about next steps on that. There was supposed to be survey marks put out for the boundaries along Langhorne Yardley Road to help assess where the driveway would go in. Those marks aren't visible to me, so I don't believe that's happened yet. And last, we did an inspection, another inspection of the painting project now that it was done, with the understanding that it was meant to be just an abatement project. It was disappointing. I turned in another report to the township and copied everybody on the board here regarding that. And per Jenifer's suggestion, made a recommendation the township bring their engineer in to do a more formal inspection.
I recommend that the report that you just referenced and recently submitted.
Yeah.
Oh, can you hear me now? Okay, I'm sorry. I recommend that the report, Peter, that you just issued and referenced be attached to the minutes as an addendum, Fred. Because there's a lot of rich information in that report.
Well, and a lot of the items were repeats from the previous one. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, the quality, not to be judgmental, but the quality went downhill between the initial inspection and that one. So,
and when you're saying the quality of the work, you're referring to the fact that the small carpenter repairs were not done with matching profiles and
correct. And they didn't do the
with-
back priming, but the actual thickness of the paint, I suspect, isn't meeting the standard in some spots and what they did later. Yeah, the wood repairs were all not conformant, but I think and then honestly, there was an issue with the fact that there's a spot where they left paint chips on the ground, which means they weren't following proper procedure.
Mhm. If the paint is too thin in some areas, that's where the engineer really has to.
Well, that's one of the things they could done. There are tests to measure the thickness, and there's a thickness that they're supposed to supply. But in addition to that, some of the repairs were probably not sufficient. The biggest deal is the thinness of the paint, because the thinner it is, and it's not going to last as long. And the goal was to have it
Right.
with these encapsulation projects, is they should be lasting a minimum of 10 years.
Thank you.
Joe mentioned a priority list before. I recirculated what I presented several months ago. I don't think it's changed materially in the time since then regarding the building side of things, other than perhaps maybe we need to consider the few buildings that weren't painted.
Joe, do you want to comment now on that relative to the historical application, or wait for that agenda item?
No, I mean,
Hmm.
for the report, I just wanted to make sure that we understood what progress we made and what we could do. We were talking before about how we should proceed, and I said it would be good for us to understand with the money that's available, what else could be done. It had really nothing to do with the historic piece.
Yeah, and Joe, when I made that presentation several months ago, we talked, and as a committee, we made a decision of priorities on the buildings, and we're working our way down that list.
Right. Okay. Fine.
Obviously, asbestos abatement and the phase 2 environmental were the next significant ones, and then I have not heard an update on the phase 2 environmental. Have you, Dennis, or anybody else?
No, David said I mean, the update is the same as it's been for the last several months. They're still trying to work through the redevelopment authority. Yeah, the delay there is a mystery to me. That's been a priority and it's been seemingly parked.
And then the next step after that we talked about on the building enhancement side of and structural side of things was working on the soil removal and regrading, and then the driveway, and then if one of these grants comes through, starting to work on the Patterson farmhouse with one of those if one of those grants was awarded. I'm sorry about being brief on all that, but it seemed better to be brief than to dig out and go through that whole report again when we have a lot of other items to get through tonight.
Mhm.
Anything else from this subcommittee? No. Okay. In that case, the next subcommittee is nonprofit and funding. It's Joe, Ron, and I. We've been frustrated. The township has not approved forming the nonprofit. They want us have the lease agreement with that nonprofit and more or less ready to sign before they go ahead and get and support forming the nonprofit. We've been pushing for that, a draft of that lease really since late last year. We were promised a draft by the end of the first quarter. Then it was going to be by Memorial Day. Then it was going to be by the end of the second quarter. Then sometime in July. And last Friday, we got the first draft. So we now have a draft. I've been through the draft and marked it up with Township Council and David. We've now have a second pass at that is part of this executive session that this full committee will discuss tonight. So we're hopeful that we'll be in a position to enter into a draft agreement before too long. But it has to go to the Board of Supervisors and go through probably multiple drafts. So I'm hesitant to predict any kind of timing. But that was the first and core recommendation of the master plan, is that municipal governments, not just this one, but no municipal government can properly manage these historic properties. And so it should be turned over to a dedicated nonprofit. And we're working diligently to get to that, but it's taken a long time. But hopefully we're now making some progress. Joe or Ron, any things to add there?
Just thanks to you for being so tenacious and staying after this.
Ron, community communications?
I reported last time on the article that was in the Lower Makefield Township newsletter. So I won't report on that anymore. I think you said it best, Dennis, when you said that we don't have a lease agreement and the not-for-profit has not been approved yet by the Board of Supervisors. So that's really our next platform for communicating to the public. And as you noted, we've been frustrated in that process, and therefore we have not really engaged in any formal outreach to the community until that occurs.
All right. Thank you, Ron. Thank you. And that is where a lot of my anxiety is we need to begin community outreach, a capital campaign, et cetera, et cetera. All of that will take some time to gear up and get going. So these delays are costly. And as we see, the corn crib is down, It looks like the equipment barn at Satterswaith is deteriorating pretty rapidly. I'm hoping that it hasn't reached a tipping point. But I don't believe it has, but it's approaching that. So time delays are an enemy to these structures without a doubt. Joe, the National Registry submission?
So just a quick update on that. Most of the work is, we're still in the research phase, but starting when I get back from vacation in September, we're going to move to the writing phase of the submission. The research is, we've done some more desk research and more investigation around the buildings or the farms as they existed in the 19th century. We found a number of cool advertisements either when the farms were listed for sale, either before sheriff's sale or because whoever lived in there died, so they went out to estate sale. And they really helped us understand a little bit more about the houses that were there, as well as the outbuildings. There's a lot more outbuildings on both farms than are currently there today. And that's all really very helpful when we build out our case for significance, which is why I sent that email today about the equipment shed. We're not really sure what that was used for yet. I'm dating it, but we believe it dates back to the 19th century. Again, losing that building before we got the National Register submission wouldn't be great. I think where we've really kind of I want to say hit a roadblock, but hit a dead end is on the 18th century. And I mentioned before last time, no matter how many times we try, it's hard for us to really make a strong case for the buildings existing then. And in the National Register and what they call the historic context, we have to have at least the farmhouses and the barns dating back that far. We really can't make the case that the houses exist from then. So I think we're going to do a nice write-up on that, but it won't be included necessarily in our period of significance. So finalizing the research phase, when we get back from vacation late September, probably starting October, I'm going to move into the writing phase of the submission with the goal of having it done by the end of the year.
So your estimate for submission is now when?
At the end of the year.
And it's still the end of the year, so you're still on track for that.
Yeah.
Good, okay.
So keep that building standing.
Dennis, before we get to the presentation, it just occurs to me, we've had a board liaison to the Board of Supervisors, and I haven't seen him at any of our meetings. I'm curious as to your reaction, if he is on board with where we're moving forward and if he is advocating for us to the Board of Supervisors.
I don't know that, Ron. Our board liaison has not attended any meetings. He's not responded to any of my emails, whether they're just FYI informational or I'm asking questions with some urgency. The liaison's been silent and absent is all I can say. So I don't know where he stands. I have met with him personally a couple times to try to sort that out, but I really don't know. So our next agenda item is a proposal from AOY. It's entitled A Partnership Fundraising Opportunity. And I do want to say that I want to emphasize the word partnership. AOY has been a very effective partner and has looked for ways to work together with this committee and ultimately with the nonprofit once it's formed. So I really appreciate AOY's coming forward and offering this. So I'll turn it over to you, to Bette, or is Bette presenting? Bette, I'm going to bring up your PowerPoint here. Hang on. We have the worst person trying to manage this technology. Here we go. It's not there. Yeah, I know. There we go. And put this on. Okay.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Ed, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, members of the committee. I appreciate you entertaining my presentation tonight. I'm Bette Sovinee. I'm the Executive Director for AOI Arts Center on the Patterson Farm. With me tonight, hiding out behind me, is Mary Ellen Bornak. She is the current president of the board. We wanted to come tonight because we had some ideas. We have recently lost the sugar maples on the Patterson Farm homestead. You guys know that. And it left a huge void. So what happened is, a couple of years ago, we did Art in the Park with Lower Makefield. And so I reached out to our friends at Seward Johnson and proposed getting a sculpture to fill that empty space as you come in from what the current parking lot is into the art center, into the Janney House. We settled on Monet at the easel. I'll show you a picture of that in a minute. They worked with us. Monet will be facing the easel and facing the barn. So it occurred to us this would be the perfect opportunity to fundraise not only just for AOI and our educational programs and anything we wanted to do in the facility that we currently have jurisdiction over, but that we should talk to you guys and the committee and the township and say, this would be a great kicking off point for, capital campaign, doing all kinds of interesting Monet themed, French themed, sculpture themed initiatives to engage the community, educate the community. I know all of this is coming, but it's time. It's time. And we're very willing to help you do that. Now, the sculpture is probably not going to be there till October, but on the easel that Monet will be ostensibly painting, standing there. Did we put up Monet? Would you? You see him, he's standing there. They customize the canvas for each location. So Monet is actually painting plein air, and he'll actually be painting the picture on the left, which is the barn through the sycamore tree. It's beautiful. I've seen their rendering of it. It'll be beautiful. So it gives us the opportunity to say, okay, are you guys interested and can you do it? We had a discussion at our board meeting and we were very interested. We were very excited about the sculpture. We're very excited about the possibilities there, but also about the possibilities of using this as a springboard for other initiatives. But we can't do that. Well, let me go back. Go to using the barn as a focal point. Everybody knows what it is. Skip next one. No, you went back instead of forward. Next one, next one, next one. We'll get to that. Next one. So if because he's painting ostensibly painting the barn with hopefully better paint than what you've got. It's a focal point. It engages. You can wrap your mind around it really easily, that says, save Monet studio or whatever, even if it's not really what it's going to be used for. But it's a driver for tourism. It's a driver for community discussion, education about the history of the farm, and what ultimately the barn should be used for. Next slide. So we came up with this thought that we could use the barn as a start for a capital campaign. It goes into a whole big thing, sponsorship packages for local businesses, different things like adopt a board that, would be a lower contribution rate so you can engage a wider number of people in the community and the greater region. You know, you could have a Monet Gala. We got lots of ideas. There's a sample flyer. Next slide. You know, which is just fun. Obviously, it's not our barn. We'd customize it. But, you know, it's like, guess who's painting at Patterson Farm? We're launching a capital campaign to restore our beloved barn and be part of the vision. So, you know, things like that, I think they're engaging. I think they're fun, and they're easily understood. Next slide, please. But we can't do any of it. We can't fundraise for something we don't own or have any jurisdiction over. We could set up a trust fund. We're a 501c3. We could set up a trust fund and say, you know, it'll be for improvements to properties for AOI Art Center. But right now, that's not the barn. So we're looking forward to you guys working out your lease agreement. Maybe by October, we'll have more stuff to talk about. Or even coming up with some sort of interim agreement, if you can't get the lease agreement done, to say we're in partnership in some regard. I'm not quite sure what that would be, but something so that we are honestly fundraising in collaboration with the township and the whole restoration. Next slide. What we want to do, we want to have a lot of fun with this, is what we want to do. And we think it'll be a lot of fun. But we're not the fundraisers here. That's the role of the foundation. And we'll do our part. We can do our part. We're not raising the $1 million, okay? But we're probably going to be able to raise, you know, tens of thousands, which will be fun. Obviously, it's great for community engagement. Next slide. Sharing and community fundraising and programming helps preserve the barn as well as the other buildings. Cultural tourism, foot traffic, you know, and, you know, it starts to get people talking about the future of an arts village, which is what was in the master plan, which we're very thankful for. So the next steps are, you know, to have you guys talk about this, decide what you'd like to do with it. As I said, the sculpture's coming in October. We can fundraise for us or we can fundraise for us. Okay. Mary Ellen?
Yeah, I was gonna add, I guess you need a, that's probably.
You gotta push it, push it, push it, push it.
Push it. It's probably the most painted barn in Bucks County, without a doubt. We have, I mean, from photography to paint, whatever, it has to be the most painted barn. And to give the.
Artistically.
Artistically. And the township to have a reputation to be a center for the arts. Different arts, all kinds of arts. And this is an opportunity for Lower Makefield to really put their name and stamp their name on this, because indeed we are the most expansive, the biggest kind of art, kind of place, whatever, in the whole region. I mean, you know, Tyler does have some art, but not at the scope that we do. So it's really behooves the township to build on that reputation. I mean, since they're putting money into preservation, and, you know, they obviously think this is a good thing for the township, which I think the people who live here do. I also think it's maybe an opportunity and a time to get some public input. You know, people want to see these, what kinds of things do they want to see there? It's just not our vision. It should be everybody's vision. So it could be an opportunity to build on that and to maybe ask other people what they would like to see there, which also builds interest on, let's get it done there, you know? So anyway, just 2 cents.
Are there any questions?
Well, first of all, thank you. I really appreciate that, your flexibility, your ideas, your willingness to partner. I agree with everything you said about the barn. I mean, I was in Doylestown Hospital. I think I sent you a picture, Bette, a couple years ago, and hanging on the wall in one of the hallways is painting of the Patterson barn. I was shocked. So I've given some feedback by email already. The committee, what questions, issues? Some feedback for AOI?
Dennis, I'll just comment. I mean, I just plain think this is a winner. It works. The messaging works. It fits in perfectly to your mission and to what we're trying to create in terms of the implementation committee for that farm. It fits into the township objectives and being a destination. I mean, I think this is a winner, and I think we should all get behind it. But clearly, they're going to need the support of the 501c3 in order to achieve these objectives. And because otherwise, well, then let me ask the question. If you don't have the 501c3, how would you proceed?
We don't have the foundation.
Yes.
We'll fundraise for us
for everyone.
and,
I mean,
that'd be
we
fine.
can't, we couldn't collect money, and then if this didn't happen, what do we do with the money? We're a 501(c)(3).
Yeah.
We cannot do that.
We don't want to raise money under false
Yeah,
pretense.
so it would have to be in conjunction. Yeah.
Or, no, I think it's a great idea overall and the rest, but we can't, this committee can't do an agreement. So it is either the township or the 501c3. And I don't know how quickly the township could maneuver on something like this to our satisfaction.
Well, but I'd ask the question of that, if we can get, if the township agrees that the 501c3 should be created, paperwork is pretty simple.
Right.
We can get that done right away. And then our first task would basically be to fundraise for the AOI proposal. And that would be a kickoff both for the 501c3. It would be our kickoff to the overall messaging around both Patterson Farm and Satterthwaite, as well as your objectives of bringing in this great sculpture. So I think it could work pretty quick, would be, if we can get the 501c3 approved by the supervisors, we could start fundraising tomorrow.
So thinking outside the box, if the 501c3 is going to take a little bit longer to develop, if the township will collect the funds and put it in an escrow account on behalf of the soon-to-be formed 501c3 and then transfer those funds over, we could continue with the timeliness.
And they have the community fund, which is a fund that where they could park it. Yeah.
We'll need some sort of nice agreement that says we're partnering with you and this is the dedicated money to go in.
But
The
I think
fund is used in
communication
February.
too, coming from the township with us is more powerful than just AOI, because obviously it's the township that's the interest. And the Seward Johnson people are really been helpful with us. I mean, to not take advantage of that would be crazy, you know, because they're huge, they're amazing, you know. So it just seems this is the time. And I don't know about your liaison, but Jamie's not here because we could talk his ear off, but.
So, yeah, I appreciate the creativity and the ideas, and you've always been supportive of this whole project going forward over the last several years. And when you say Seward Johnson is favorable to this, there's, as far as a fundraising purpose and event, there's no issues from their perspective, or using the Monet.
We're leasing the sculpture. Of course, we'll characterize it as being Seward Johnson and from, it's called Seward Johnson Atelier. But yes, grounds for sculpture, most people in this area know of. So we're very fortunate to have that relationship with them. And
Well, they originally offered just, 6 months, but they extended it for a year because they know, you know, Bette was explaining how we would like to
yeah,
use
this
it.
could take some time. So we'll have it for a year. So I don't know what he looks like in winter, but we're gonna we're going to keep it so that we have, because these things take time. You can't do a gala in 2 months. You know, you can't plan these things. So we have opportunity to do the community engagement and start some discussions if we get that far.
Separately, I know over the years, some of the discussions and through the development of the master plan, there were various ideas brought forward, and I know AOI has some interest in that barn in particular, but as part of this effort, there's no implication that AOI would necessarily be the only option for use of that barn. So that's understood.
Talk about that, Fred.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why you need public input.
Yeah.
You know, there are lots of ideas out there, and somebody could have this wonderful idea that would be great. I mean, this is not exclusive. This goes, the plan that you've all shown us and explained, you know, with education and culture and whatever. It's a beautiful plan. And this is just part of it. A big part of it, I think, but a part of it.
If I may, first of all, if I may thank AOI for the presentation and for the idea and for the willing to collaborate with us. I think it's really great. And I really liked your idea of how we can engage the public. I think as we form the nonprofit, this would really get us hitting the ground running with, you know, visibility in the community, because we'd have something really behind it. So we thank you again. I just wanted to ask Peter a question though, real quick. I mean, Peter, if you think about your list, your report, right, of all the things that need to be done, the most urgent, where does the barn on Jenny Brown fit on that list? Is it at the top, or are there other more urgent matters that need to be handled in?
Well,
With-
the urgent matters are the ones that were identified in the report from 2 years ago as edited with the information we've discovered since.
Right.
So the priorities that are likely to get done in the next year, barring anything done with any of the potential lessees that are in the room here, would be get the asbestos abated, do the phase 2 and any removals necessitated by the phase 2, get the driveway done from Yardley Langhorne Road so you can separate the agricultural traffic out. Those are all the priorities we've talked about. Soil replacement and grading, so we're not piling water up against the buildings in addition to getting rid of the lead paint. Those were the priorities. There's a whole list of building improvements and repairs to be done. But before you even get to that, we got to get over these other hurdles. And depending on the uses of the buildings, probably going to impact which buildings you choose to work on first.
Okay.
And again, any agreements that are made, you know, with lessees about which buildings they need and what we're doing to support that.
Right.
And what they're going to do.
Right. The priorities, to speak to that, first of all, any environmental cleanup, remediation, testing is 100% on the township. That nonprofit to be formed foundation will not have responsibility for any of those. The ultimate property owner has to be responsible for those. We're not going to raise money to remove asbestos. So those things are reliant on the township money and the 700,000 that they allocated towards this. Any repairs, of course, improvements would be the foundation's responsibility. And you're right, there's a yin and a yang to that prioritization. It's those buildings that are maybe most vulnerable right now that need attention, but it's also counterbalanced by those buildings that could be ready for a tenant in a shorter term horizon that would start to bring some money in and activities and programs and public. So there's a prioritization that has to be balanced.
Right.
I think, you know, a couple things everyone has said that's clear. Can't raise money for the barn until either the nonprofit, the Janney Foundation, is formed and can really manage that money and support AOI in the fundraising dedicated towards the barn, or there's an agreement with the township and the community 501c3 community fund where those monies could be parked until such time as the foundation can then engage in on that. Far be it for me to put yet another hurdle in front of this, but I'll start the issue with a question. You've said Monet painting the barn, we're going to fundraise on the barn. Is that based on that's kind of a cool story and artistically appealing, or is it based upon the barn is AOI's priority building? If they had another one, it's the barn.
I think it's just a site that this is the center of an artistic
Right. Okay.
place where art programs,
Okay.
kids programs, whatever happen. It's
Okay.
not that, no, let's go for the barn.
Okay,
It's-
but
the barn is,
Barn
we could have gotten another sculpture in, but Monet
Yeah.
painting the barn was.
Yeah,
was
he could
beautiful.
paint, he could paint the pack house.
Could have painted anything, yeah.
But, I mean, it doesn't have the same ring.
Same ring.
Well,
No, I,
Barn, I'm telling you, it's the most painted barn.
I get it, but I, for one, I think the foundation is going to struggle raising money for the barn until and unless it has a plan for the barn. If a donor asked me today, well, what would you do with $50,000 if you had it? I don't know if we could answer that today. And so I think there's some planning, we have to know what we're shooting for before we start putting bullets in the gun. Both of you want to talk, jump.
We might even be wanting to say the same thing here, but your intention is to raise kind of globally money for it. The barn is just the title, but that's not what you're raising. The money, the
Exactly.
money you're raising for is collectively for the
Yeah.
farm.
And I think the township presenting the plan can present it as a whole, which, it's not coming, and that's the point. It's not coming from AOI. It's the township's plan as a whole. And AOI right now happens to be the tenant and the biggest thing there. And by the way, there are a lot of grant opportunities, which for this redevelopment and an arts center. Well, we think they're still there, but, there have been,
Oh, okay. Thanks for that clarification. Because when, I see ideas like, sponsor a board, I'm thinking, well,
Yeah.
this is all for the barn, but it's really for the Janney historical
It was brainstorming.
property. Yeah, the entire property,
Yeah.
Patterson and Satterswade. Okay. That's important because that I think we can go forward more credibly with. We have a master plan prioritization to move with. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Other questions, input? If not, thank you very much. I really do
Thank you. We look forward.
appreciate it. I think it's a grand idea.
Actually, I have a question. What's the next step on our side? Just sitting here and waiting a month, or?
It's another lead weight on the side of the scale to say to the township, hurry up and get the lease going, because not only is the equipment shed falling down, but there's fundraising opportunities, being in the palm of our hand right in front of us, and we can't act on it.
In the presentation, I didn't speak to it per se, but the Bucks County Tourism Grant for this year is due by October 2nd. So, we'll do something by bringing Monet people in to, see Monet and do something there. But there's other fundraising opportunities with the Pennsylvania Council for the Arts and a whole bunch of other things. So they're going away, They don't come around all the time. So
Is that the development for the plan for 2026? The tourism plan?
yeah, it would be 2026.
Okay.
Yeah. If you guys see fit to doing a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors, that would be nice.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, we want to, in terms of next steps, and thank you, Bette, we want to get in front of the Board of Supervisors on the lease and then have this as one of the arguments as to why the lease needs to move, as opposed to going in front of the board on this. The sharp
And I
point
guess
of the
what
spear is the
everybody-
lease.
Is that, Ron said he had the articles in the township newsletter, and I think a couple other outlets picked it up about the barns and the paintings and the painting of the buildings that got done at the Patterson farm. And I've had cold calls, people calling and saying, hey, do you rent studio space? So that's out there too.
Okay,
Okay, so it's more opportunities for more things to happen.
right, right. Thank you, thank you. Any other comments on that topic?
No.
The committee? No? If not, thank you again, AOI, we really do appreciate it. Is there any other business the committee has to bring forward? I have one, which is, I think as we all know, Peter Solor is destined to move to Virginia and will be transitioning to maybe continuing with the committee remotely, but maybe not. We hope so. But so much of Peter's work on the committee has been dependent on not only his expertise and his energy and his diligence, but his walking the property and physically being on site, which we know will occur less often, if at all, after this. You've established credibility with the committee. You've established credibility with the Board of Supervisors, and so much of the recommendations of this committee have been dependent on your work and expertise. So I just want to acknowledge all you've done for this committee, and we appreciate it, and we want to express our appreciation. Wasn't sure if this was going to be your last meeting or not, but I know, man plans and God laughs, so things change. But as we want to present you with a small token of appreciation from the committee. You can open it up. It's the Southeast. It's the Historic Barns of Southeastern Pennsylvania Architecture and Preservation, built 1750 to 1900 by George Hoover. And I'm told that should be on the shelf or the coffee table of any preservationist, and you certainly are one. So, Peter, thank you. Well done. Well done. Okay, so we really do appreciate it. The next agenda item was the public comment. Public comment. So can we, is there any public comment? We've heard from AOI. Jeff,
Corn crib building. That was done last Friday. We are now the dumpster comes tomorrow. We are currently sifting through to see what we can salvage out of it. We're temporarily putting that in the bottom of that, the building you're talking about. With the roof,
equipment barn, yeah.
potato barn.
Okay.
It was always used as a potato barn. That dirt, there's a stone floor in there, went down about 15 feet. They had a cellar down there for potatoes.
Mm.
So the township could get metal back on that building and keep it dry.
Well, actually, the building we've been talking about is what we call the equipment barn or shed, the equipment, which is the open space, the three-walled building with the manure spreader in the front of it.
Yeah,
You're talking about the well house with the basement, no?
No, that's the potato barn where the manure spreader is.
Oh, because there's a basement in the well house.
Now, there used to be a basement in the potato barn, but the
Oh,
township filled
okay.
it.
Okay, interesting. All right,
There was always people up there because it was vacant, so the township
right,
filled it in.
right. Oh, cool. Okay. So you think you are going to be able to salvage quite a bit from the corn crib?
Probably, some of the timbers broke coming down, but we
Right.
expected that, but I think we can salvage quite a bit out of it. Once the dumpster gets there, we start pitching stuff, we'll really be able to see.
Okay,
There's some good timbers in there,
okay,
and I know especially on Saturday, there's a lot of repairs. At one corner is gonna be repaired, and there's a lot of white oak in there, and there's a lot of Douglas fir in there, so.
okay. There's a lot of boards that comprise the roof. Are those largely salvageable?
Some of them are. The shingles are all stripped off those boards right now, and some of them are.
Okay,
Some of them didn't make the ride.
gotcha. Thank you. Thank you.
Yep. And one other thing with the Bonet statue, that was out in front of Tyler Hall at Bucks County Community College where I work, and you wouldn't believe the people that came to look at that. It was up on a hill and he was painting Tyler Hall.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm sure it's a draw. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. Any other public comment? Hearing none, I'll turn it over to Fred. Any follow-up actions and schedules, future schedules?
I just have the attaching Peter's painting report to the minutes of this meeting as an addenda. And next step, getting the lease agreement and/or some agreement with the township on use of the community fund if necessary as an interim step in relation to the fundraising opportunity. Our next meetings have been changed from our regular Thursday schedule, second Thursday. Monday, September 29th will be the next session due to some conflicts of the members. And then the following in October will be Tuesday, October 28th. I believe everybody was notified of those dates and
Okay. All right,
Could
thank
we
you.
have, could we have the AOI presentation also as an addendum?
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. I have the copy, so I'll provide it to you, Fred. Good idea. Any other comments, questions? If not, I make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Thank you. And thank you all for coming out.
Dennis, you going to stop the recording?